white men are self-selecting out of college. And so now when you open up the opportunity to go to Harvard, the people who are prepared to go to Harvard, who are busting their ass in high school trying to get good grades, are immigrant kids who they're chasing away. You know, the international student body is plummeting, and that's what keeps these schools open, because the international students, like our parents, the government paid their bill.
Yeah.
There was they weren't paying for it. My father got his education because the government of the Congo paid for it, then Zaire. And so when you take the kids coming from China, that full payment from the Chinese government is gone. And the American kids who need student loans, who in many cases aren't even prepared for college, you're now whittling it down, and you're expecting white men to carry the burden. I mean, if I was a white guy, I'd be kind of offended. You want me to be all the pilots. You want me to be all the people in the Defense Department. You want me to do all the jobs. I got to be every job. I got to go to all the Harvards. I got to do all these things. And I've been told for a generation, don't even go to college at all. So a lot of these guys are not even prepared. So they're not even qualified.
But there's a lot that qualified. A lot of them are mediocre anyway.
So they weren't prepared. And so it's like they expected that this would mean that Harvard would now be like 80% white men. It isn't. The majority of college students in America are women. More white women go to college than white men. And so now when they're looking at it, they're not getting the white man bonanza they expected. And the Stephen Millers of the world are mad about it.
And he needs to go that little...
The Hague. That's one place he should be, The Hague.
He thinks he's so dope. And I think there's a lot of, did you notice the first person to get a PhD is W.B. Du Bois, right?
Du Bois, yeah.
But
at Harvard.
If you notice when you were in Harvard, there was just legacy people where they were like dumb people.
Absolutely.
It's like, you dumb as hell.
Some of the dumbest people I met in the world were people at Harvard who were legacies. The smartest people I met. Ketanji Brown Jackson, I went to college with her. She was a year behind me. Smartest person I ever met. Her roommates, geniuses. Genius, all four of them. Because they had to work 10 times as hard.
Just to get in.
To get in. Whereas the legacy kids, they didn't go to class. They were high. They were smoking weed because they didn't have to even get good grades. It didn't matter. They grade on a curve at Harvard, so they weren't going to fail. You know, I got E's when I'm talking about failing. I got an E. They didn't give you an F because they made it on a curve, and they try to keep you in. They put you on academic probation, et cetera. These guys go from academic probation to a ritzy job on Wall Street, even if they passed no classes. These people didn't work. They didn't try. They didn't have to do anything but play lacrosse on the weekends and chill and get high. We're producing a group of people who are coming out of Harvard who are no more educated than had they not gone at all, because they didn't have to even read a book while they were there, because they're legacies.
It's all smoke
and they
and
don't
mirrors.
deserve to be there.
At all.
In high school.
At all.
And yet they had the name. I mean, I went to college with a woman whose name was on one of the buildings. Of course she got in. Her name is on a building.
Oh, right. Because her family, she's a legacy.
Her family's a legacy. So it's like, that person, is that person smarter than Ketanji? No. But that person gets to get it, and no one questions their presence.
None.
No one says, is that okay? But they say that this affirmative action genius kid from Ohio somewhere that busted their ass in high school doesn't belong there simply because they're black. Yeah. That's America.
Yeah, and you've had this interesting thing talking about the United States and just kind of the things that are going on now. You've talked about dictators from other countries getting killed after they tried to stop trading with U.S. currency. Explain that and what happens diplomatically with the U.S. and other countries who might try to do things differently than the way the U.S. expects them to.
Right, and again, it's talking context, right? You know, Saddam Hussein was evil, but when he was our guy that we were using as a prop to fight Iran, he was our guy. We were paying for him. We were propping him up and keeping him in power, despite how cruel he was to his own people. We didn't care. He used our chemical weapons to bomb Iran in their war in the 1980s. We were fine with it. And then when we decided we were done with him because he wanted to then start to nationalize his own oil, then we were like, let's overthrow that guy. Mossadegh, the president of Iran, duly elected. The people loved him, but he said, I want to nationalize our oil. This is our oil. It should benefit us. We were like, no, BP owns that oil. Knocked him off, put in the Shah.
What was that? Oh, yeah, what was that guy's name?
Mossadegh, the guy in Iran.
Yeah.
And then you go to, we propped up the, completely authoritarian government in Egypt for 42 years because they were playing ball with us. As long as you do what we say, you can be a dictator. We actually don't care about whether you're a dictator and hurt your own people. Mobutu Sese Seko, in my father's country, he was the CIA's guy. 42 years he oppressed the people of who had already been through so much with King Leopold. He knocks off Patrice Lumumba, who was their George Washington,
Man, 16
who was the
Congo,
man,
yeah.
right?
Wow.
And the CIA says not good enough. You're not going to do what we say. Go away. We're going to give you Mobutu. You will have it. We did it. Salvador Allende. We give them Pinochet. You know, in Chile, we destroyed Chile because they elected somebody who didn't obey us. So the U.S. has a history of destroying countries by getting rid of their elected governments when they won't obey us and give us their resources. Trump operates that way. He says, the Panama Canal is ours. Give it to us or we're going to destroy you. Cuba is in the dark right now because we're going to pressure Cuba because we don't want them to be able to supply medical personnel into Venezuela until Venezuela obeys. We're going to knock off the new Iranian government to try to control their movement of oil, control Venezuela's movement of oil, control Greenland and their resources. This imperialism is causing the blowback that gets Americans killed. And Americans, meaning our troops, but also people overseas that are just in a base somewhere, a military base that get built. So we have to stop this empirical bullshit. We're getting people killed.
Because I love how well informed you are, especially on international matters. And we talked about that. We were saying this earlier, like, you know, as far as how much we know about international affairs, where's the best place for people to get like that full context to be able to understand? Because you hear one perspective and immediately it turns into a partisan conversation. You know, you're either left, you're right on this situation, but yo, what's the truth? Where do you get your truth from? How do you get the truth and understanding kind of the bigger play in what's happening in U.S. politics and international politics?
Well, it's becoming less left and right because, and weirdly enough, MAGA and progressives agree on Israel, agree on Palestine. We kind of agree. Like we have kind of crossed the Rubicon of disagreement. On some things, we're starting to agree. Americans are waking up to the fact that we've been sold a bill of goods that we have to lay down our lives for a client country. They're a client state. Why do they get to control us? Why are they controlling the president? Like, I think we agree on that left and right. And so for me, I think the best thing is what you said earlier is don't just watch one news source and just people who watch Fox just watch Fox. That's why they are completely inundated in disinformation. You have to bounce around. You know, I'll see what they say on the right. I'll read some of their stuff as well. But I also read the BBC, which I think is a good source of news and information. I love Al Jazeera English.
Al Jazeera?
I think Al Jazeera gives some of the best. Mark Lamont Hill is over there. They do some of the best analysis, the best information. Mehdi Hassan came from there.
Mehdi Hassan.
And I do love independent media. I love Zateo. I'm a subscriber. Love it. And I listen to a lot of independent media. You know, we watch Don Lemon.
Shout out to Roland Martin.
Shout out to Roland Martin.
I do the Don Lemon show. I was on
You just on it right there. Right?
Don Lemon show. I'm proud to say, you know, he's winning awards. He's doing well. I'm proud to be part of his first couple of episodes. Also, Roland Martin, who really went independent after, because I remember when Roland Martin was on.
He was on CNN.
CNN and schooling people. Roland it was so great. It was him, the Latin lady that's on The View now.
Right.
It was her, and they would go at it, and he'd be like, I got receipts.
It's literally how he sounds.
That's more Steve Harvey.
No. That's
him.
Roland Martin. I'm around. No, he would be like, I got receipts, boy. Your ass better understand. I don't know what you done did, but I'm gonna tell you this right. That's Steve Harvey. But Roland's like this. I got receipts. See, here's the problem. See, back in 1970, Roland don't play. Alpha Phi Alpha, he don't play.